Well, good evening. Welcome to Testimony Tuesday. My name is Brittany Francis, and if you are new, on behalf of the person that invited you or sent you this Zoom, we want to say welcome. Welcome to what we truly believe to be the most prolific regenerative technology of our lifetime. Now, this technology is in the world of stem cells and activating stem cells. So, what I want you to understand is that every single person's testimony that you're going to be hearing on this Zoom is going to be different from your own. Why? All of our bodies were created completely differently. So, with that, please know that as you hear these testimonies, your body is going to change just as much as another person's body, but in different ways. Now, let's talk about quickly why we need this technology. By the time we're 30, half of our stem cells, they go dormant. That means that they go to sleep. By the time we're 60, 90% of them are dormant. And the fewer stem cells that you have, the faster you age and the slower that you heal. So please remember that when we're children and we fall and we get back up, why? We're a walking healthy stem cell, right? But as the time that we age, the more you see a noticeable decline in your ability to heal, in your ability to fix yourself, in the ability to think properly, your joint pain, all the different pieces in your body, they begin to break down. Why? You have dormant stem cells. So very important to understand what stem cells are. They are the master building block of your entire body. You're about to hear incredible testimonies, and they're going to be very different from one another. And chances are you're about to hear testimonies about animals and pets. Why? Because everybody has stem cells. Every living being has stem cells, okay? And it's their job to naturally repair, the stem cell's job to naturally repair and naturally renew the body. Okay, they are found throughout various tissues and organs, and they are actually called undifferentiated cells. Why? Because undifferentiated cells have the ability to turn into whatever cell is necessary in the body. So if you were to go and burn your hand on the stove tonight, if you have awake and alert stem cells, your stem cells have the ability to travel and what we call triage, which means select what needs to be fixed first, second, third, fourth, fifth inside the body and turn into whatever cell is necessary. So if I burn my hand and my nerve cells are damaged, or my brain cells or I'm sorry, or my muscle cells are damaged, my stem cells have the ability to turn into whatever is necessary for my hand to fix. So from brain to heart to intestines, liver, it doesn't matter, all the way to your joints and your bones. Okay, so stem cells are a hot topic. For thousands of dollars, you can go and get them actually injected in either your own stem cells, perinatal stem cells. You can actually have them injected into your body in a localized area. The issue with that, number one, there's no money back guarantee, and there's not a guarantee that it's going to work. Your body may not accept the stem cells, or those stem cells just may not do what they needed to do because they weren't your own and they weren't activated. Okay, so very important to understand the functionality from anti-inflammation all the way to regenerating, all the way to fighting viruses and illnesses, all the way to energizing. So I go over this because as we start talking about the testimonies and as you begin to start sharing your testimonies, remember that every testimony is different because those stem cells began to travel and triage and turn into whatever was necessary for your body to fix. Now, to bring some validity to this company, because you are about to hear some pretty incredible things, let's talk about David Schmidt. David Schmidt is the founder and the CEO of LifeWave and the X39. He currently has over 200 patents, and he was actually contracted by the government over 20 years ago to come up with something that the Navy SEALs could use that would keep them awake for 24 to 36 hours straight, ready for combat. Okay, so important to understand something. David Schmidt was already known by the government because he was doing defense weaponry. They knew he was incredibly brilliant. Okay. So because of that, what did they do? They contracted him to do this. Now, important to understand, when he was contracted, our Navy SEALs were hooked on amphetamines, not to their fault. They were needing to be awake and alert. Okay. So it had to be something that they did not put inside their body, whatever he developed. Okay, so he began to look at the body and he began to find that our body actually is made of light. Okay. And then what he found even deeper was that there were other scientists that began to look way before he did and do research on this technology, on the body itself. And they found that there was actually a chemical reaction that the body would have to different light frequencies. Okay, so he found that scientists well before his day were looking at different light frequencies. So he knew that he didn't have to give supplements to the Navy SEALs. He nearly had to look at the body's chemical reactions to light. So deeper, he found that all living cells emit what are called biophotons. Okay, now DNA actually initiates thousands of different chemical reactions when the light is emitted. Okay, so he really was digging deep into the science of light and the body frequencies. And he found that all kinds of different chemical reactions would occur, just like melanin, right? So our body would produce melanin in response to the sun. That's a chemical reaction. So he began to look really deep into this, and he found that we actually, as humans, emit an actual prism of light around our body, infrared light. Okay. And that infrared light was all kinds of different colors and different frequencies. He began to think, what if I began to reflect a frequency of light back in the body that we actually emit, putting nothing inside the body, just using light therapy? He found a specific red light that we emit, that when he was able to reflect it back in the body elevated adrenaline. The Navy SEALs indeed use this technology. From the Navy SEALs, it began to get to Stanford University. Stanford University once they got wind of it, they got their hands on it, they began to study it, and they said, my goodness, this is not putting anything inside the body. The body does the work. So they began to use it for their swimmers. Their swimmers began to use it. Michael Phelps got wind of it, and the history goes from there. Life Wave was birthed over 20 years ago. Now, David Schmidt knew that he was onto something so big. So he began to dig deeper and he found all those different colors of light frequencies, and he began to use what is called an FTIR on search and in search for specific other frequencies. As he found these different frequencies, he knew that the body could create melatonin, the body could create glutathione, the body could create different pieces, different chemical reactions so that the body could heal itself in different ways. But he was on to something very brilliant, and he knew that if he could find it, life would forever change the world. So he did it. He found a specific frequency of light that, when reflected back in the body elevated a GHKCU peptide and in turn woke up stem cells. He knew that he was onto something so incredibly big. So what you're looking at is the patented technology, the wearable phototherapy apparatus that wakes up stem cells. Absolutely incredibly brilliant. Now, earlier I just mentioned the GHKCU peptide. It is the holy grail of healing. Okay, so this peptide was found back in 1973, and they looked at this and they said, "My gosh, look at all the things it did, from skin, hair, lungs, all the way to brain, nerves, activating stem cells." Instead of synthetically placing this into the body can now produce it. And ladies and gentlemen, because of that, miracles happen. So it's a proprietary form of phototherapy. Okay, so this technology reflects a frequency of light back in the body. The body produces that GHKCU peptide. And in turn, those miracles happen. Non-dermal, non-transferable, does not get in the way of any medications. So I'm going to share two of my testimonies. First of all, I had what is called Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid condition. Okay, I started using this technology, and about 46, 47 days into using this technology, what did I find? That something felt weird. So I went to the doctor. 3 days later, the doctor called me, and what ended up happening? He looked at my blood work and he said, Brittany, you've got to stop doubling up your medication. I said, I'm not. my body had actually fixed itself. So I was taken off of all my thyroid medication. Another piece of the puzzle was I had issues with, after having multiple children. Ladies, you know what ends up happening there. There were some major issues that I just did not know even what or how to handle it. There were surgeries that we were going to be able to have, and I really didn't want to go that route. Well, I'm happy to report that that issue is taken care of as well. So the list goes on and on and on from every single thing that you can imagine. Okay. Now, within the first few days, 4,000 genes begin to reset, over 4,000 actually. And what ends up happening there is that the body, we're not playing God, the body is actually resetting itself to go back to the way it was before it became damaged. Okay. And then within 6 weeks, the brain becomes balanced. So PTSD, anxiety, depression, memory loss. Okay. My grandmother was diagnosed with memory loss. January last year, we began to use this technology. She now remembers my children's names, their birthdays, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, and if I called her back. And today I spoke with her. She went to the casino and had a grand old time. So, I have my grandmother back. Also, I cannot even begin to tell you, but you will see a few things and you will hear a few things. But for special needs children, this technology is incredibly brilliant. I was on ADHD medicine for quite some time. And, the way I felt on that compared to when my body began to fix itself and the chemical reactions in my body began to level, it was absolutely incredibly brilliant. So just lean into that because you're about to hear an incredible testimony about that. And then within 3 months, your collagen is actually increased. So it's amazing to see what ends up happening there. Yes, your wrinkles, yes, your hair, but your matrix, the matrix of your body is actually the collagen. So it's incredible to see that when your matrix is actually fixed, what ends up happening. And then within 6 months, the cardiovascular age of the heart actually reverses. April 19th of last year, my father-in-law was diagnosed, well, actually came in town. He was diagnosed earlier that year of heart failure and kidney failure. He came in town April 19th to say hello to our children and goodbye to our children. He actually came in town from London. I looked at my husband. I knew that he had come in town for something specific because we hadn't seen him in so long. And that's what it was. We'd only been using this technology for about 3 months. And so, I looked at my husband and I said, all I know is the testimonies we've heard. We began to introduce him to it. 4.5 months later, I'm happy to tell you that he was no longer in heart failure. He feels incredible and he's actually living his best life. So this technology has changed our life for the best. Okay. Now, this is another clinical study that was just released a few months ago. After 3 years of research, what they found is at the telomere level, the telomeres actually lengthen. At the mitochondrial level, they're seeing an incredible rebirth of these cells just looking younger and younger. In fact, after 6 months of using this technology, going in front of a BioWell machine, they found that you actually reverse in age by an average of 8.5 years. So this technology, again, absolutely incredibly brilliant. It's age complete reversal, not anti-aging. So with that, let's open up for testimonies. I would love for multiple testimonies to happen tonight. If you could please raise your hand. But first, because I'm going to be sharing a screen, I would love it if Teresa Tokar, if you could please unmute your screen, talk to us a little bit about what you have seen with this technology, and then also tell us what's on the front of our screen.
Okay. Hi, my name is Teresa Tokar. I live in Blanca, Colorado, which is a very, very rural area, and it's probably one of the poorest counties in the United States. Anyway, I had been sick for a very long time, 30 years inside and out. So hormones, gut issues, then car accidents, chronic neck, shoulder, feet, back issues for a very long time. And so I started using the patch actually just about the second week in January of this year. And I have been to many, many doctors, chiropractors, PT, homeopathic practitioners. I spent a lot of money on trying to get myself healthy. And really, I just was expecting that I was going to be suffering for the rest of my life until January came along. So I started patching. And actually, the first day I wore the patches, I actually ended up staying up like 36 hours to finish my taxes. And so I was feeling really good. That was really awesome. I also ended up pulling three of my tendons in my hand. And within 4 days, I was able to use my hand again, and so that was really awesome. And then the big things happened like 3 weeks. Nothing was happening in between that. And then 3 weeks came along, and I no longer wear glasses, which I've been wearing for about 20 years. I had distance and progressives, I guess. So distance and reading glasses. And now I have not been wearing any of my glasses since 3 weeks ago, or 3 weeks into the patches. Let's see what else. I have a bunch of stuff. Oh, my chronic pain actually in 3 weeks was gone. That was on my back, my neck, and my shoulders and my feet. So all of that is gone, which I'm really excited about. My friend also told me that my arthritis is gone. However, I do actually found out that not just my regular arthritis is gone, but my hand right now, actually, my body is working on osteoarthritis. I also have that. And I have a disease that goes along with that. It's called a myxoid cyst. So actually, there's a myxoid cyst here. I had one on my toe. It's gone, but my stem cells are still working on my middle finger here and getting that better. Right now, I usually would have bronchitis, acute bronchitis from allergies, and I'm not having any issues. A little bit of eye issues where it's itchy and I actually rubbed my eye too much. And so, other than that, that's great. Now, what's on the screen is my chicks. I had several chicks being born in an incubator, and where I live, because it's very dry and they don't survive very well in incubators. And so I had one, and most of the time when chicks are born, they just die. They fail very quickly. So I had this chick right here. It actually was born handicapped, and actually one of its legs wasn't working, and he was failing, and he was getting picked on by the other two chicks. And this was 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And so I was kind of desperate. I went to my Facebook pages and started, how can I save this chick? And then I realized I can actually patch my chicken. So I patched this little chick, and within 20 hours, this little chick was walking around like the regular chickens, the other chicks, and thriving. And the next week, I had baby chick from the brooder hen actually couldn't get back with its mom, so it was freezing to death, and actually also just I thought it was going to die before I could even get it up to my house. I brought it up to my house. I warmed it up. I put a patch on it before I started warming it up. And within 20 hours, I was able to bring it back to its mom, and she accepted it, and it's doing awesome in my coop there. The other thing, I have one more. My dog, I've been patching him. He is 16 years old. He has little dogs get collapsed tracheas. He also had fluids on his lungs and heart murmur. That was getting really bad. We thought we were going to lose him many times, actually. My daughter is a veterinarian, and we actually just saw her 3 weeks ago, and she's like, oh, just wait. Let's see what his murmur sounds like. She's like, he has no murmur. I said, I know. And it was because of the patches. I've been patching him with X39 and X49, my leftovers. I put it on him. And then, so what I use is I use X39, X 49. I use Eon. Actually, I have Eon on my finger. I use that there sometimes, or I sometimes will put X39 on there too. At night, I use Alaveda and I use Carnosine. So, um,
I love it.
hopefully
I
I
love
got
it.
it. I know it wasn't 2 minutes, but
I love it. Well, when there's just so much to talk about, it's just like, how do you even? So I love it. Thank you so much, Teresa. I'm so grateful that you started us off. All right,
thank you.
next, Miss Shauna. Love for you to share about what has happened for you.
Hey there, my name is Shauna Tucker, and I live in Jinja, Uganda, which is in East Africa. My family and I are missionaries there, and I'm actually home in Texas visiting my parents right now. So I wanted to just hop on and share some things that the patches have helped my family with. I've been patching for a year, and I really didn't have many issues. But I just wanted to try the X39 and see how it could help me for just general wellness. We are currently adopting a 2-year-old boy, and I'm very thankful for the energy that this patch has given me. About 6 weeks into patching, I realized that my energy had increased quite a bit. My back pain that I typically have from just standing in the kitchen had gone away. So those were, significant to me. And then once we moved to Uganda, we moved there last summer. Pretty soon after moving there, I burned my arm very badly. In fact, as you were speaking at the beginning of the presentation, I was like, that's me. That is exactly what happened to me. I had boiling spaghetti sauce pour onto my arm, and it was terrible. And within 2 weeks, the whole thing was healed. I have no scar on my arm. It would be good for me to share the pictures from that because it's kind of crazy. In fact, a dentist from Germany was standing next to me. We were watching soccer games over a series of weeks, and he even said to me, "You must have amazing stem cells," because he saw the progression of the healing. And I said, "Let me tell you about something." But I also was able to get off. I did have a small prescription of anxiety medication. It was just 25 milligrams of Zoloft, and I was able to get off that. I tried coming off of it at probably like 6 months to see how I did, and I had no problems coming off, which is what led me to the more significant thing that I wanted to share about. My daughter was diagnosed with OCD at 11 years old, and it was a very difficult season for us. We went through counseling and seeing a doctor that worked with us on our nutrition to see if there was anything regarding her diet that we could remove to make it better. And we ended up having to do medication. And so she ended up on 100 milligrams of Zoloft a day. And that's kind of a lot for the size body she has. And I had been praying about her getting off that, or at least being able to reduce it. So when I saw that I was able to get off my medication, then we started patching her with X39 and Eon. And we were both kind of nervous to take her off of it because we had tried before and it was just so severe. It was not good. So after 6 months, we started reducing her medication, and now I'm so pleased to say that she is completely off of her medication and she's thriving and she is doing so well. So that is such a praise to the Lord, and we're just so thankful that the patches helped her to achieve that. And then lastly, I would say I do use glutathione. My family and I go into the slums of Jinja, and we are surrounded by children who have all kinds of diseases, and they are touching my hair, touching my face. And so the glutathione, I feel really good about it giving me just like an immunity boost. So, yeah, our family uses the X39, and then my daughter, the Eon, and then I patch everybody with glutathione when we're traveling or in the slums. And it's just been such a gift to us. And I've been able to share this with so many missionary families. And I'll have to come back on another time to share the results that they have had. But it's been such a gift.
Well, I know that out of your organization, there have been so many testimonies. In fact, your brother has a running quiz. He's our king of Excel, which we needed him in our
Seriously.
lives, and it's just been incredible. So I'm just love it. I love hearing all these things. So Shauna, welcome back to the States for just a little bit of time.
Thank you.
So
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. Now, I would love to hear more. If you could raise your hand, I am going to call because I did see somebody specific on here named Scott Miller, and his testimony is so incredibly brilliant. I did text him earlier and say, could you share? So I am really excited for you guys to hear this testimony. So, Scott, if you could jump on and unmute yourself, that would be great.
All right. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you a lot. I'm Scott Miller. I live outside of Houston on Lake Conroe. And before being introduced to this technology, I was very sick for about 4 years. In 2021, I was hospitalized with a severe case of COVID. Both my lungs were full of fluid. Oxygen was very low. They had to put me on oxygen. Didn't know that I would even make it out of the hospital. My family was told that I wouldn't be coming out. So um, anyway, so I did get out of the hospital, as you can tell. I was on oxygen at home for 6 months. It's been a rough 4 years until this technology was introduced to me. Fast forward to today, I'm off all my inhalers. I'm off my breathing treatments. My brain fog is gone. My memory is getting better and better. It was totally shot. Last year I had pneumonia 4 times, and I'm doing great. This year things are just chugging right along. I feel wonderful, and I'm so thankful for this technology.
That is just so awesome. Oh, I just love it.
I made it.
Did make it. And this is just the beginning. How many weeks has this been?
um, May 14th. So
Not even 2 weeks. Or I mean 2 months.
two
Not even-
months. Yeah, yeah. My response to the patches was very quick, and I was so thankful that it happened so fast.
I love it.
I didn't want to be without them. I was going to go take some from somebody to get more.
I love it. Well, this is just the very, very beginning. So I would love for you to just continue to update us because as you've even heard you guys from Shauna and from Teresa, as the longer and longer your story is going to get so much more incredible, right? Now my husband, I mean, my miracle now is, I mean, it's not a mind-blowing one like Scott over here, but mine is my husband will drive with me at night because it doesn't look like everybody is breaking. I can actually see. So, and that didn't happen until 10 months into it. So, Scott, I'm so excited for us to hear and to be able to walk this journey with you. Thank you
I'm so
so much
thankful. Thank you.
for sharing that. Oh, so grateful. Okay, anyone else who would like to share tonight? That anybody else? Let's see, just unmute yourself. Anyone else? All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to continue this and then we're going to open up for questions. All right, so the benefits of the X39 are absolutely unending, as you guys have heard. Okay, from increased strength to reduced inflammation to increased stamina, energy and vitality, and mental clarity. Like Scott said, that mental clarity is absolutely huge. And then restored muscle and skeletal conditions. They're seeing children with cerebral palsy who are now swimming, okay? And the improvement of sleep Absolutely amazing. So my husband, he actually was bleeding internally from the esophagus. And when we were introduced to this technology, we were looking at the business side. We didn't know it was about to change his life forever. We were spending about $3,000 every 6 to 7 weeks on iron infusions. He was severely anemic. His iron level was between a 2 to a 4, and so he could barely even open up a door. Guys, it was incredible. He began to not snore after 3 days. So I was like, whoop. But then what was incredible is after about 6.5 weeks, he was waking up actually ready to get out of bed without his legs hurting. It was absolutely amazing. So, this technology, guys, was developed by David Schmidt to be a blessing to every single person that you know and every single person that you love. You know, I just love the fact that this gentleman that you're looking at, his heart is for the community. His heart is for the world. And this is the fastest growing company in the world in direct sales because he knew that the testimonies were going to be way too personal for him to go and do an infomercial. He knew that it was going to have to be testimony based and people were going to need to share this technology through word of mouth. Now, how you're going to wear these patches? You're going to put them where you need them. So I had a severe whiplash in my right arm. I put it directly on my right arm. I was told by the best chiropractor in Houston, in my opinion, in Houston, that actually always try to keep everybody away from surgeries, that I was going to have to get surgery. I put this technology on my right arm, and within 11 days, I no longer needed to have surgery. So it was absolutely amazing. So put it where you need it. But for patent purposes, ladies and gentlemen, they do show two places. One on the back of the neck for the most open point to the brain and the spine, and underneath the belly button for the most open point to the gut. So if you have Crohn's, if you have issues that are gut related, put it underneath your belly button. Wear it 12 hours a day. Take it off. You can put it on your dog, your baby chick, your horse, and throw it away and put a new one on the next day. You want your body to rest. Stay hydrated with electrolytes because if you're a prune, your body will fix itself, but it will take longer. If your body is you have a lot of water, okay, what's going to end up happening? Those stem cells can actually travel where they need to go faster. So remember, guys, David Schmidt is an absolutely incredibly brilliant man. And as you get back to the person that invited you to this or sent you this Zoom, I want you to remember that this company is truly fascinating. At the end of this year, there's actually going to be a documentary that's released about LifeWave called Let There Be Light. Mickey Willis is actually the producer, and his wife continued to patch him when he was producing a different documentary, and he couldn't believe how he felt. So he had to find David Schmidt. And as he heard about this technology and all the technologies that are going to be released, he knew that he had to hear more and he had to tell the world about this company. So if you say, well, I've never heard about this company before, you have now. And I can promise you, if you don't jump in with the person that invited you to this, then you will be asked in the next month, 2 months, or 3 months, because it is a wear it and share it program. Because David Schmidt wants every single person that is on this planet to be impacted by this technology so much that he's created a technology that actually can bring the patches to rural areas across the world where they desperately need it. That's his heart. So for more testimonies, you can actually visit thisisatinfo.com and you can actually click where it says testimony. So if there's stroke or neuropathy, or if there's something that you say, well, what about gluten intolerance? The answer is yes for everybody on everything every single time. In fact, 70% of people feel a miracle between 5 minutes and 5 days. 97% of people feel a miracle within 90 days. So trust me when I tell you, you will see your miracle, but you want to use it at least 1 month per decade that you're alive because your stem cells, as you get older, go dormant. So you need to be able to be willing to wear this technology longer than a day, longer than a month. I tell everybody at minimum, give it 120 days. Now, if there are medical Zooms or there's any other type of Zoom that you'd like to see other than a testimony Zoom, you absolutely have access to that by the person that invited you to this call. We did have two incredible medical Zooms within the last 2 weeks that we can send to you. But what I can tell you is that this technology does work. Between that and the testimonies and within the patents that are all found on thisisatinfo.com, I'm pretty sure that you will find that this is a very solid company and that all of your answers to your prayers, I truly believe, for everybody will begin to happen as long as you wear it, as long as you're needing to wear it. Now, what I always tell everybody is that, you know, people are waiting and praying for something like this. You probably are somebody that knows people that really are praying for a miracle. Guys, these are the types of testimonies that we receive. This is my miracle inbox. For this sweet lady, her kidneys were actually at 50% function. And after using this technology for just over 4.5 weeks, her functionality went up to 85%. Guys, people are praying for this technology. And I pray that if you're one of them, that you are going to give an immediate yes. You can jump in with the person that invited you to this and be a retail customer. I don't usually suggest that because it's $149 a month. Or you can become a preferred customer for $99 a month and you can receive the technology at wholesale price. But if you say, Brittany, do you know how many people need to hear this testimony Zoom tonight? Do you know how many people? I do. My husband and I did too. So we became brand partners so that we could ensure that we could tell every single person that we know and love about the technology. And this is how you can jump in. You can jump in at core for $295. You can jump in at the advanced, which actually opens up a full compensation. And actually you can get a lot of different patches for the core, advanced, or premium. And you can actually mix and match. So you can get the glutathione like Shauna was talking about, or the Eon, which actually takes care of the inflammation. Guys, absolutely incredibly brilliant to jump into one of these three categories because you can get the most bang for your buck and you can absolutely bless every single person that you know and love. My husband and I did the premium because we knew that we were going to tell every single person that we knew and loved about this technology. From people that we knew with Lyme disease all the way to people that had broken their back when they were children and they needed a miracle. We introduced this technology and all of them have incredible testimonies. So with that, my prayer is that you get back to the person that invited you to this or sent you this Zoom and that you give an overwhelming yes and you give this the opportunity to bless you and every single person that you know and love.